Perpetual motion machines debunked. Hello, in this video I'll be talking about the perpetual motion machine and why it cannot possibly exist in the real world. In this time, I'll be answering the questions of what it is, what its intended purpose is, how it could work theoretically, and why it doesn't work in real life. A perpetual motion machine is one that, when set in motion, would continue to move forever with no additional energy added to it. Think of a globe, except once you spin it, it never stops spinning. There are thousands of conceptual ideas proposed by various figures throughout history. The first proposed machine looked like this, and was put forth by the Indian author, mathematician, and astronomer Bhaskara II in 1150 CE. His design consists of an axle and wheel with multiple glass vials attached to its outer rim. These vials would be equally filled with a set amount of liquid mercury. The mercury could move around in the vials, and when the wheel was spun, the weight would always be heavier on one side of the wheel, leading to it spinning itself and causing perpetual motion. This device in particular doesn't work because of friction, or the second law of thermodynamics, as we'll get to later. But the idea would eventually spread from the Islamic area all the way to Europe. Another popular design will be explained in this short clip by Riddle on YouTube.
Cornelius Drebbel, a Dutch engineer, was a kind of Elon Musk of the 17th century and created innovative clockwork that they said was able to run perpetually. A glass sphere, a plastic hose, a nozzle, and a pipe tee. That'll be a really strange order in your online shopping cart. The sphere must freely rotate on the stand, and you'll need to insert the pipe tee into its top. Mind that it should be an airtight construction. Pour fluid down the hose, then attach one end containing air to the sphere and leave the other end open. It seems unbelievable, but the fluid in the hose will visibly oscillate during the day. It'll make the sphere spin, which in turn will wind the clock, and the whole thing will keep going endlessly. But how? Drebbel claimed that the fiery spirit of the air helped it run for hours. But actually, there's no magic at all. The fluid in the hose is set in motion by changes in atmospheric pressure. A similar principle was used by James Cox in the 18th century, except that he wound the clock with the help of a mercury barometer instead of a hose filled with fluid. As a result, it was enough to wind the device once and watch it work for decades. But let's face it, both Drebbel and Cox's mechanisms relied on external forces to gain momentum. They're fueled by the atmosphere of the Earth, and they're certainly not perpetual motion machines.
The appeal of perpetual motion is that, if achieved, one would have access to a limitless source of power. This would then be used as energy of the future, and could sustain all of humanity from now onwards. While the idea sounds appealing, harvesting energy from the perpetual motion machine could never work. It violates both the first and second laws of thermodynamics. The first law, as you know, states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. If you took away energy from a perpetual motion machine, eventually it would come to a full stop. Also, not harvesting energy would forsake the name and purpose of the machine. The second law states that energy is lost in converting heat to work. Elements like friction and electrical resistance cannot ever be completely removed without adding more energy. Despite all of this, scientists of the future will continue to try and solve the perpetual motion problem because it's just too fantastical of an idea to let go of. If you want to hold out hope for these future devices, watch this final clip from YouTube.
But is perpetual motion genuinely impossible? In 2021, German scientists first created a time crystal. This microscopic object repeatedly changes its state over time and can go on like this forever. Although the crystal doesn't generate any energy, it doesn't lose it either, despite friction or other influencing factors. May I remind you that this was the main stumbling block to all the perpetual motion machine inventors of the past. So, Could we finally be on the verge of a breakthrough?